With regular flooding in your backyard, but you're not in a flood zone.
Well, tonight, our I-team is investigating a fight over flooding. It has led to a lawsuit by one local man who is blaming his neighbors.
Consumer investigator Jason Knowles is here tonight with what he found. Jason.
Judy Ravi, it's a flooding fight. One resident says he sees water in his backyard on a regular basis. In a lawsuit, he says the neighbors failed to get approval from their village to regrade, which some engineers say could be causing the problem.
This is the main point of entry all the time.
That's the main point.
Joe Bellavia has lived in his home in northwest suburban Roselle since 1978. He says he didn't have a flooding issue during his first 40 years there. But then,
in the fall of 2019, I started experiencing flooding in the yard, and I couldn't figure out why there was flooding. So I, of course, asked the village a little bit if they can give me some information.
He says he eventually had to seek help from engineers.
And it all collects here.
And it all collects here because it has nowhere to go. It's what the engineers are telling me.
He says 4 different engineers, even one from the village, studied the issue, and their reports indicated that the problem was due to his neighbor's yard being too high.
It's just your neighbor's raised lawn that is trapping the water on your side.
Those engineers say the land was raised after his neighbor regraded the property. Bellavia says that happened after the neighbors removed a pool.
As you see, there's a berm that's about 5 inches higher than the bottom of the fence line. And that shouldn't be there.
Bellavia says that berm is pushing water flow into his yard.
It's ruined our lawn, and every time it rains, it just is flooded. So, if we have people over, parties, we can't use the backyard.
In this lawsuit Bellavia filed in 2023, he's asking the neighbors to correct the problem. The lawsuit alleges that permits were never obtained before neighbors regraded their yard, and that the regrading changed the previously existing topography, thereby altering the flow of water across the property. In an initial response to the lawsuit, the neighbors admitted to removing the pool in the spring of 2017, and when asked if they applied for any permits from the village, the defendants answered none. In the defendant's second answer to the amended complaint, they denied allegations. They also admitted that there is a municipal ordinance regarding excavation or grading, but deny any breach thereof.
Back in 2020,
Bellavia says he looked into putting in his own drain system, but it may not be a permanent solution, and he says it's too expensive.
to put a drain system in that would handle that water was $45,000.
$45,000.
$45,000.
That's a lot of money to fix someone else's problem.
Well, that's what all the engineers are telling me, that it was someone else's problem.
We reached out to the neighbors and their attorney, but they did not respond to the I-Team's request for comment.
When something like that is on your mind every day, it affects your life. You're wondering what's going to happen next. Is the village ever going to do anything?
I asked village leaders if they had anything to say about the allegation that permits were not taken out before that regrading, or if they wanted to comment overall. A spokesperson told the I-Team the Village of Roselle doesn't comment on active litigation. Judy Ravi, however, we should point out that it is not the village being sued in that lawsuit. Right. It's the neighbors, but we'll update you on what happens with this case.
Oh, Jason, how frustrating.
I know. What if you were him and that water was coming
every time it rains? He says, wow.
All right, thanks.
And of course, remember, if you do have a tip or a story idea for Jason, you can call 312-750-7TIP.